Voices On. My name is Marilyn Danini, and I'm the Director of External Affairs at St. Anne's Warehouse. And Voices On is a project of St. Anne's where we bring artists and performers together to talk about the issues that we find in the work on our stage. So today we are so lucky to have with us Bruce Silverglade, who is he's an icon in Dumbo. He's the owner of Gleasons Gym, which is, what is it, the world's most famous gym? The oldest gym? It's the world's most famous gym. It's also the world's oldest gym. And it's our neighbor. And I want to say that Bruce has been incredibly helpful to us in putting the show together. He has been a real source of support to it. He was, Gleasons was actually the inspiration for the show. And back in 2007, when St. Anne's had Black Watch here, and the actors in Black Watch showered at Gleasons, and the creative team from Black Watch got to see like the magnificence of Gleasons Gym, and to sort of understand how boxing is more than just one thing, it's many fabulous things, and I think you all got to see that today in the show. So anyway, we also have today some professional boxers. We have Harry Keith. Harry is a professional boxer. He's going to talk a little bit about his life in boxing. We also have Mark Breland with us, who is an Olympic gold medalist in boxing. And he came today with Harry, and we are so delighted to have him. So he's kind of our surprise guest. And we also have Angela Pearl, who is an amateur boxer. And remember how gorgeous Dina Massey was on the our character Dina Massey? Well, now we have Angela. She's our Dina. And then, of course, we have Eddie Kay. And he did a fabulous job today. And Eddie has been an amazing actor in this. He's also a professional dancer. And he's a great performer. And he's also trained in boxing.
Gleasons Gym is currently the oldest active boxing gym in the United States. It started in 1937 in the Bronx, New York, and was in the Bronx from 1937 to 1974, at which point the building we were in was torn down for a housing project, and we relocated into Manhattan. And we're in Manhattan on the corner of 30th and 8th from 1974 to the very first part of 1985. At which point, the building we were in, we were the only tenants in that building at the time. It was purchased and turned into co-ops, and we were asked to leave once again. So we came over to Dumbo and looked around, and David Walentis, who's my landlord, told us what a great place Dumbo was going to become. Because in 1985, where you're sitting, you probably wouldn't want to be here. It was not the nice area that it is today. So thank goodness it's developed, it's been very nice, and we have no plans on leaving. We're going to stay here. But since 1937, Gleasons has produced 132 professional world champions. Some of the names that you might know, our first one was Jake LaMotta, the Raging Bull. And we've had people like Muhammad Ali train at Gleasons Gym. He actually trained at Gleasons when he was still known as Cassius Clay. He trained for his first Sonny Liston fight, and won the title, became the youngest heavyweight world champion. We've also had people like Mike Tyson. He's a Brooklyn kid, and he trained at Gleasons Gym. Mark Breland, who's on our panel, was an Olympic gold medalist, as well as a two-time world champion. He's now a trainer at Gleasons Gym. But we've also done quite a bit in the movies and with media. Gleasons has been involved with 26 full-length movies. We've done over 100 documentaries, fashion shoots, and magazine articles all the time. Of the 26 movies that we have been involved with, 4 of them won Academy Awards. And we've trained 2 Academy Award winners, Hilary Swank and Robert De Niro. So the gym has a good history in boxing, but we also do a lot in media. But today, because of where we are, about 65% of my membership are businessmen and women, just like you. My youngest is 6 years of age. Our oldest is a neighbor across the street that's 85 years of age. He comes across a couple times a week and hits the speed bag. He does a great job. We also have 67 nationalities training there, so people from all around the world come. It's probably one of the last melting pots in the United States. We have people from everywhere training there. We have a lot of CEOs and executives from Wall Street. We have some kids from the projects. But we have a complete combination of people, and we teach everyone the same thing: discipline, focus, concentration. You can go into the ring and spar if you want to. It's not mandatory. However, when the young women and men come in and say, listen, I just want to get in shape, I want to learn the sport, but I don't want to hit anybody and I don't want to get hit, I usually laugh at them because it's a very addictive sport. And everybody ends up, or most people, many people, do end up sparring and training in the ring and going through the discipline that every professional fighter and amateur fighter goes through.
You know, it's something, you know, boxing is a thing where, you know, you can stay in shape, it keeps you, it keeps you fit, keeps you, feeling good about yourself. It's something that I enjoy. I enjoy training people. I enjoy seeing someone in shape and, having a lot of confidence in themselves and believing themselves to the point where, they just go out, especially when they're fighting. I see them fighting, go out there and they're not scared. And I'm like, okay, that's a good fighter right there. And, it just brings me joy to just see them happy and just, stay in the gym and just keep doing it and hopefully one day become a world champion, or anyone, just come in the gym, work out, just, and, make yourself feel better. It's something that it does make you feel better when you work out. So that's the thing I would just say, stay in shape and just keep doing it.
I'll basically just talk about the process that, Stephen and Scott, the directors of the piece, aren't here, so I'm going to just kind of, as best as possible, tell you a bit about what they went through and how they kind of tried to create Beautiful Burnout from scratch. 4 months before we went into rehearsal, the show was cast, and 5 of us were boxers. We weren't boxers at the time. I don't think any of us had ever done any boxing before. But they encouraged us to find a gym wherever we were and go and train in boxing for that little period of time. It's nothing like what these guys do professionally. So we kind of tried to cram in as much experience as possible, tried to get as close as possible to being an amateur boxer or whatever. It's a very difficult technique to learn. I'm lucky because I am actually a dancer, so I found footwork quite easy. Upstairs was a bit difficult for me, but I eventually got it. After about 4 months, I started really feeling what was happening, and I started feeling what was right, and how not to injure myself, because that was basically what it was all about, because I had to bring that to the space, make sure that everybody can look genuine, but not get hurt, because we had to go on a long tour and all that sort of business. So basically with our experience, we all went to different gyms. Mine was in Dublin, the lads were all over Britain. And after 4 months, 5 months, we came to London and we spent 2 weeks trying to break down the beauty of boxing, try to kind of break down the form, the physical form of it, really look at it, see how we could actually make it look like we're striking someone and not striking someone. And that was actually the most difficult part of it, was the big fight at the end. Making that took a huge amount of time, and it was really slow process. It was very sluggish, but eventually we got there, and I think the boys actually do a really good job. But because we only had that limited period to learn boxing, we had to go and research through looking at books and also watching old fights and all that sort of stuff, and then and actually kind of dissecting it and taking sort of fighting combinations and actual genuine moments that have happened in the world of boxing and put them on stage and the fight at the end. Also, we looked at the referee, who's usually someone who you never actually look at in a boxing match, and I didn't realise, because I've been watching boxing my whole life, and I actually didn't realise that I never watched the referee ever. He's just an invisible sort of thing that's there. So watching the way these guys move around, it's really graceful. A lot of them are very hard, a lot of them are very soft. They've just got a very different sort of way of moving. So that was my job, really, to kind of look at that side of it whilst the lads were looking at all the fighting. And you got the referee dance, and they are actually genuine moves. We didn't make any of them up. We kind of actually got them from referees from all over the globe. It's strange, from YouTube and stuff like that. What else? Yeah, we started off. Everybody brought their own kind of regime, the way that they warmed up, the way that their trainer. Everybody had a trainer in their gym, taught them how to fight. They brought that to the rehearsal space. So every morning and every day before the show, we actually have a physical sort of workout. We do sort of circuits and all that sort of stuff, and we actually do some boxing sort of techniques and things like that, just to keep it in our bodies. But everybody had a different experience, and the stuff that you see on the stage comes from the performers themselves. The directors asked us and encouraged us to kind of bring forward our experience of the gym, talk about the gym, the atmospheres, like you say, all the boxing gyms we went into were so warm. I mean, there was a lot of kind of passion going on in there, but the people in it are just so warm, and yeah, they're very generous with their time. It's like boxing kind of, I don't know, it's like it softens, I don't know, the energy in there is just, it's crazy. Whatever gym I went to, they were all the same. Everybody was with open arms. And when I went to Gleasons as well, you know, open arms. The trainers in there just talk to you, you know, as if it's nothing, and it is nothing to them. It's their world. But yeah, so that's kind of how Stephen and Scott approached that artistically. They handed it over to us, and we talked about our experience within that world of boxing. Very small experience, like 4 months, but we tried to get from it as much as possible, and then they in turn theatricalized it and put it onto the stage.
That's a very common question, and as I said, we have media in the gym all the time, and they're always trying to say, well, this new sport, this MMA, is taking over the sport. And I really disagree. I think boxing is more popular today than it has ever been. Every gym, whatever gym that you go to, has probably a little boxing area in it. The Crunches, the Equinox, New York sports clubs, they all have an area now where there's a boxing trainer, there's a heavy bag, there's a speed bag. So there are really more and more people today practicing the sport of boxing than ever before. And boxing is popular when you get athletes that are exciting and can give you a good performance. In boxing, like anything else in the world, has ups and downs. So there are times when there are a lot of good athletes out there and boxing is very popular, and there are times when there are fewer athletes out there for the popularity. But one current example of the popularity of the sport, and why I think it's still more popular than ever. There are two athletes that they're trying to get matched today. Two very good athletes. One is named Mayweather, and the other is named Pacquiao. Now, they have offered each fighter for one night's fight $50 million per fighter. So that means one fight, they're going to pay the two competitors $100 million. Now, the only way that they can do that is if it's a pay-per-view and it's sold around the world to millions and millions of spectators, and it's expected to do that. So there's no other performer, whether he's an actor, a singer, a dancer, any kind of performer, any kind of politician that would go on a speaking tour, no one can garner $50 million for one performance. Boxers can do that. So it's a popular sport.